Hey friends, Ash here with Gents with another fragrance review. Today I'm taking a look at the new Guerlain L'Homme Ideal release, L'Homme Ideal Cool. This fragrance has started to pop up at discounters, though it has been selling out pretty quickly, but before long all of you are going to be able to find this pretty easily. I'm going to break down this fragrance like always, let you guys know the pros and the cons of this scent, whether I think it's something you should check out or not, and we're going to briefly take a look at that presentation so you know how this fragrance is going to come if you do decide to buy it. So let's jump into this. First off, let's take a look at this box. Here we go. Name of the house, name of the fragrance, concentration, and size down here at the bottom. There you see the Guerlain logo at the top of the box. Got your ingredient information here on the back of the box. This little silver design wraps all the way around the box. And here's the bottom with your badge code punched into the box. Now let's check out that bottle, and the bottle design here is one that I like across the entire line. So here you have the bottle for L'Homme Ideal Cool. As you can see, this one has a gray coloration all the way around the bottle. And then the fragrance itself is actually sort of a light green color. The color of this fragrance is really similar to Gucci Guilty Cologne. There you have again the Guerlain logo on top of the cap. The cap does click into place. The atomizer on this fragrance is very good. And on top of the atomizer, Guerlain once more. As you can see there is nothing on the back side of the sticker on this one. And here's the bottom of your bottle with your badge code. I'm gonna touch on this later on in the video as well, but L'Homme Ideal Cologne is actually discontinued. That's the word on the street. And this fragrance, L'Homme Ideal Cool, is supposed to be the replacement for L'Homme Ideal Cologne. L'Homme Ideal Cologne has actually been one of my favorite warm weather fragrances for the past 4 years since it came out. So I was not really happy to hear about that discontinuation. Like I said though, I'll talk about that more a little bit later. This one opens up with a semi-rubbery mentholated mint note, which is most likely because of the anise and the mint mixing in the opening. To an extent, it almost smells like a mint flavored stick of licorice. It only lasts for a few minutes, but that initial opening is either going to really be appealing to you because of how different the mint comes across, or it's going to be off-putting. It does only last a few minutes though, so don't let that scare you away from the fragrance overall. The creamy almond note that's used across the entire L'Homme Ideal line can be picked up very, very early in Cool. Just as that interesting mint opening calms down, that's when you pick up that almond. There's also a citrus combo of orange and bergamot in this fragrance along with neroli, and those are carryover notes from cologne. So if you've smelled L'Homme Ideal Cologne, that citrus combo, that citrus mix in this fragrance is going to be very familiar. Because they come across about the exact same way as they do in cologne. One of the main differences though between Cool and cologne is that cologne has grapefruit, Cool does not. And Cool overall has less of an emphasis on the citrus as compared to cologne. Those notes are still prominent, especially in the opening and into the mid, just not as much as in cologne. The emphasis in Cool, especially in the opening, is more so on the mint. There's also a slight watery undertone to Cool, but it's more like an aquatic note that just rests underneath all the other notes, like a really light, watery undertone. To me though, the watery note, the aquatic note in Cool is not a huge prominent note. It's not super important. In the opening, it's more based around the mint and anise very initially, then that anise kind of drops away and leaves it more of a fresher mint. And then that neroli citrus combo, that's what's most important in the opening. In the mid, you start to pick up ambroxan in L'Homme Ideal Cool, which is something that was not in L'Homme Ideal Cologne. And that ambroxan lasts from the mid all the way to the dry down. The ambroxan does change up a little bit. In the mid, it comes across very similar to the ambroxan in Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo Urban Feel. I know most of you probably have not smelled that fragrance, but the way that ambroxan note comes across is more focusing on the sweet aspect of ambroxan. So pretty much any of the abrasiveness that you might associate with ambroxan and other fragrances is not gonna be there. Is there a little bit of that salty warmth that you would usually associate with ambroxan? Sure, there is, but it's definitely overshadowed by the sweet aspect of the note in this fragrance. The creamy almond and citrus combo from the opening carries over into the mid, and again, if you've smelled L'Homme Ideal Cologne, you know what I'm talking about. Those notes smell the same in L'Homme Ideal Cool as they do L'Homme Ideal Cologne, they just have different notes around them which changes the way the scent comes across. L'Homme Ideal Cool is a sweet fragrance through the mid, though it does come across a little bit fresher than L'Homme Ideal Cologne. It's a little bit less creamy and a little bit less citric than L'Eau Medial Cologne is. Like I talked about a little bit earlier, L'Eau Medial Cologne has more of a focus on creamy citrus. And while that's still here in L'Eau Medial Cool, the added ambroxan and mint take some of the focus away from the creamy citrus, which makes it not as prominent in this fragrance, that combo. Once you hit the dry down, L'Eau Medial Cool is mainly a dry vetiver mixed with ambroxan and the remnants of the almond citrus combo from the opening and mid. There's a slight touch of patchouli in the base, but it's overwhelmed by the vetiver and ambroxan. So the main difference in the base is that Cool has taken ambroxan and patchouli and put that in the base alongside the vetiver that it shares with Cologne, and it's gotten rid of the musk that L'Eau Medial Cologne used. By adding in the watery accord, the mint, and the ambroxan, Guerlain is basically trying to take L'Eau Medial Cologne and rework it a little bit, make it fresher, and make it better for summer use. That being said, I honestly don't think there was anything wrong with L'Eau Medial Cologne to where it needed to be reworked, and definitely don't think it needed to be discontinued. Obviously, if they're discontinuing it, it must not have sold as well as they were hoping, but I don't think that this fragrance is actually an improvement over Cologne. As I've mentioned, they toned down the creaminess of the almond here. They took away a little bit of the focus from the citrus. It's still there, it's still prominent, it's just not the main focus of the fragrance anymore. They've added in ambroxan, watery notes, and mint. And I'm guessing by adding in an aquatic note and ambroxan through the mid and the dry down, they're trying to have this one have a little bit more of a mass appeal than Cologne did. But I had great success with Cologne. I've worn it for 4 years. I think it's a fantastic spring and summer fragrance. And just one versus one, I think it smells better than Cool. The reason L'Eau Medial Cologne works so well is it takes citrus, which so many people love, and switches it up a little bit with that creamy almond. By keeping the creaminess really apparent, it's a little bit of a twist than your more typical shower gel, very aquatic, fresh summer fragrances. So it's a fragrance that you can wear in high heat, but at the same time has a good amount of depth to it. And I know Guerlain doesn't really want to hear this, they don't care about this, what I'm about to say, but at the price that you can get L'Eau Medial Cologne at discounters, it is one of the absolute best buys in all of fragrances, in my opinion. You can pick up an extremely high quality Guerlain fragrance for under $20, and that's for a still sealed bottle. I mean, it is an insane deal. But the reason it could be so cheap is because a lot of people could be trying to offload that fragrance, bottles that haven't sold at retail and retail stores. And then you have discounters on the gray market picking up big bundles of L'Eau Medial Cologne and passing the savings on to us. But it is a shame because that is a fantastic fragrance, and I don't think this one is better. Now, don't misconstrue that and take it that I dislike this fragrance, because I don't. I like this fragrance. Basically, they're taking the Cologne DNA and just making some tweaks to it. The very initial opening, that mint anise mix, where it comes across a little bit like a strange mint licorice or a little rubbery mentholy. I'm more used to it now, but I can't sit here and tell you that I think it smells great. Just the very initial opening, the first couple minutes is what I'm talking about there. And like I mentioned before, the removal of the grapefruit takes off some of the impact of the citrus, that creamy citrus, which is one of the things I love so much about the Cologne. And then that addition of a sweetened up ambroxan and watery notes in the mid and dry down just doesn't really do it for me. Like I said, I don't think it smells bad. I do like the way it smells. I just don't think it's an improvement on the Cologne. So in my opinion, it's just a completely unnecessary release. They're axing a great fragrance in L'Eau Medial Cologne and replacing it with a reworked version that is, in my opinion, inferior to the fragrance they're axing. And you might say to yourself, yeah, but Cool is fresher, so that means it's gonna be better for summer, so more people are gonna buy it to wear in summer, to have something a little bit different in their collection. But honestly, this is not really any more summer ready than L'Eau Medial Cologne is. Is it fresher? Sure, it's a little bit fresher, but not that much. It still retains that creamy almond, even if it is toned down a little bit. The citrus notes in the neroli minus the grapefruit are still here, and they smell really similar to the way they smell in L'Eau Medial Cologne. The vetiver in the base is still the most apparent thing once it dries down, so that's the same as Cologne. They didn't add anything in here that's really brisk, anything that really pops. It kept the same overall feeling of Cologne, it just made some tweaks. So you would wear this basically in every single situation that you would wear Cologne. So I'm not sure that Guerlain really was going for a much, much fresher take on the cologne DNA that already existed. It's still a spring and summer fragrance, just like cologne is a spring and summer fragrance. And honestly, I think it's probably better suited for spring than it is summer, just like cologne. Although if you look on Fragrantica, more people will say it's better suited for summer. I find that the creaminess makes it better suited for spring. Either way though, you can wear it in either season without much of an issue. This is also more of a daytime casual kind of fragrance, just like L'Homme Ideal cologne. Longevity here is in the 6-hour range, projection best in the first hour to hour and a half. Performance about like you would expect. It's just tough because if L'Homme Ideal cologne did not exist, I would say this is a really solid release. But it's really just a reworking of cologne, which is strange because they're killing cologne. If you look online on Fragrantica right now, a lot of people are saying that this smells similar to L'Homme Ideal Eau de Toilette. And I'm sure that's gonna change in the future. This smells closest, like I've said a million times in this video, to L'Homme Ideal cologne, not Eau de Toilette. So just be aware that if you go looking this up on Fragrantica and you see that and you think for some reason that this is gonna smell like the Eau de Toilette, it doesn't. Well guys, that's gonna do it for me with L'Homme Ideal Cool. Just reiterating my thoughts, it's a shame that the cologne has been discontinued. As of this video, it's still going for really cheap. I mean, if you're watching this a year or two in the future, it's probably not going for cheap anymore, but as of this video, it's going for 20 to 25 bucks. That's what I would scoop up. I would scoop up that over this. It may have sounded like I was slagging this, but it is a good release. I just prefer the cologne. But if the changes that they've made that I've described to you sound really interesting, by all means, pick this one up. This is still a very high quality fragrance. It does smell very nice. It's just the changes that they've made, in my opinion, are actually to the detriment of the fragrance. It's not an improvement. So where I might say Guerlain L'Homme Ideal cologne is a personal like 8.5 or a 9 to me, this one is more like a 7.5 or maybe an 8 if I'm being generous. It's not bad, I just prefer the original warm weather version of this fragrance. All right guys, if you've smelled this one, let me know in the comments below what you think about it. If you are really interested in this, just wait. It's gonna be popping up at discounters again really soon if it hasn't already. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys again next time with another fragrance video. See you guys.